Hello, 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 everybody. I'm Susanna Kennedy, and this is Thrive in Wealth. As you know, Thrive Network aims to arm you with information, techniques, healings, all kinds of things that help you not just survive, but really thrive in your life. And I know that cryptocurrency is one of those untapped areas for so many people. I know I don't know much about it. I know I'm only learning about it now, and I'm so curious about it. And so I came across, actually through my lovely spiritual coach, Leisha Jarrett, that most of you know, I came across this wonderful woman called Nicola Grace, and she has been educating me, and I've been a complete overwhelmed mess, to be honest. And so I am just asking her to be with me here today to help me really understand what cryptocurrency is and what can be done with it, but just get a general understanding of it more. But the interesting thing, and the thing I think that drew me to Nicola Grace, is that she is not just an amazing business coach, but she also is a spiritual, deeply spiritual human being. She's a published author and so many other things. And I thought, well, that's just great. I think way too many spiritual people have a hang up about money and have beliefs that really create barriers for them around financial wealth and financial freedom. And so I think we'll chat a little bit about that as well. But please help me welcome Nicola Grace. Welcome to Thrive Network. How are you doing today?
Thanks, Susanna. I'm doing great. That's an awesome introduction as well. Yeah. Really looking forward to it, because I know that the conversations we've had off camera have been really juicy. So I think we can give a tremendous value today for those that are listening.
Yeah, I think so too, and maybe we should start there, because I think that, both of us being people who are very connected to spirit, have really come across a lot of people that have financial difficulties based on belief structures and preconceived ideas of wealth and money around spirituality and being a good person. What is the common kind of denominator that you've sort of seen unfolding in your clients? Because you're a business coach as well.
Yeah. And a lot of my clients are people who are in the higher consciousness movement and becoming leaders to lead others. And there is this conflict point of offering spiritual work, charging for it, and getting handsomely paid for it so that you can have a decent living. It's always kind of like where the rubber hits the road, because money as a spiritual person in business, money is the symbol of the impact that you're making. Right. So there's a need to shift perspective, but I'd like to go to the source. I mean, I just want to start right at the beginning with the source, so we can shatter people's delusions if need be, and then everybody can come up into a paradigm together where all things are possible. And through my research and through the belief clearing work that I do with clients, I've discovered that part of the ancestral brain is at work in spiritual people, and also people who are working for a living but not loving what they do. That dates way back to when society was structured so that the spiritual person, the shaman, the medicine woman or medicine man, the healer, was the person who held the God force and the connection to God and the connection to spirit for the entire tribe. And then the tribe would go out to do the work, toil the fields, pick the berries, kill the beast. And so the spiritual shaman, or the medicine woman, whatever we're going to call it, I'm just going to call it the spiritual holder, had this concept that they weren't supposed to do work because it was dirty work that would take them away from their connection to the God force for the whole tribe. So they just had to hold that energy. So work was considered a bit too dirty for the spiritual person to do. Also, they weren't so somewhere along the line that the connection between work and reward got a little bit muddied up.
Yeah. And that's interesting what you're saying, because it's also because they were holding it for the whole tribe, right?
Correct.
And so
Correct.
anything that took away from them just doing the spiritual work
Was
would be
dirty.
seen as like dirty. You're off track. Listen, you
Dirty.
need to hold the space for us, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah, awesome. And so I just love this. When I
Me
discovered
too,
it,
because I
I was
didn't
like,
know
my
this at
jaw was
all.
on the ground. Yeah. So then, but what happened was that that spiritual person was supported by the entire tribe. And the tribe were, you know, the spiritual person had the best tent, had the best food, had the best adornments, because it was taken care of by the tribe. So fast forward today, and you know, we're all being told that we've got an ancestor brain, and many of the beliefs that we have, the neural kinetic pathways that we have of belief systems, a portion of that comes from our ancestors. So fast forward today, and you'll have spiritual people who really don't want to market themselves because they think it's dirty. They don't want to sell themselves because sales is dirty, right? And they feel entitled and go, well, if I'm doing spiritual work, then I should just be taken care of. And then they get pissy with the universe because they're not being taken care of, right?
Yes. I see somebody's going, you're not the only one.
I know, because I know this because I work with thousands of people. So what's needed is a software upgrade, because in today's society, the spiritual person is not the person that holds the consciousness for the whole tribe. Each individual needs to undergo their own spiritual awakening, and each individual, unfortunately, because of the system we're in right now, needs to work. And needs to have some kind of money coming in. So we're more integrated now in our society than we were back in those days. It was highly divided, and we're just not like that we're not like that right now. But our brain, our left and our right brain, are very divided. So there's a need to marry the two together. When it comes to stepping up to your purpose, it's the exact same thing. It's like, I've either got to work for a living or I have a spiritual purpose, and I can't do both. Well, that's actually not true anymore, because we see many people on fantastic missions making, you know, a lot of money. But the marriage of mission and money, I believe, is what's going to transition us out of a reciprocity system anyway. So yeah, that's another
discussion. But I mean, that is really important, because funny enough, what I thrive in wealth for me, the way that I defined it under my umbrella of my vision of my company is wealth is meaning, freedom, and purpose. Is like doing what is your purpose, but creating the wealth in your life that sustains the vision of what your life should look like as well. And so actually what you are saying is perfect for this segment. It absolutely marries brilliantly. And there's no coincidence for everybody that has just tuned in now. As you know, we live in a world of energy and vibration. And if you've just tuned in now, or whether you're watching this live or a recording of it, you're listening to this at the exact right time for your soul's highest progression. And I feel that with every inch of my being. And so really pay attention to what resonates with you, and because those are little messages guiding you to your next step. But I love that it's marrying your work with the wealth, with creating the wealth and your purpose. Yeah, beautiful.
And your spirituality, because you know, people say to me quite often, oh, I've got all these spiritual gifts, but I don't feel like I should charge for them. And I'm going, well, hang on a second, what gifts aren't spiritual? So if somebody is very gifted at communication and they become a lawyer and they can charge $500 an hour, and somebody is very gifted as a doctor and they help cure cancer, and you're very gifted as a psychic and a healer and you help people through emotional crises, why do you feel your gift is spiritual and you shan't charge for it, but a doctor's gift, which is also spiritual, and a lawyer's gift, which is also spiritual, can charge a lot of money for it? So again, that's just it's a disjunctive thought system that goes back to the shaman who never charged for their gifts. They just got taken care of by society. So they did get rewarded for them, right? It was just it was a different system, but we don't live in that system anymore. We live in a system where it's every man and woman for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. But I absolutely love that. And I hadn't thought of it that way, even though it like completely makes sense. Like when you say it, I was like, yeah, well, obviously that's so true. What makes one gift more of a spiritual gift than another gift? All of them are spiritual gifts. So
Exactly.
I love that. There's another misconception or misbelief that I find very disempowering for a lot of people, and that is that money is evil. Money is the source of all evil, and you know that money is bad. Where do you think that comes from? I mean, obviously, individually, you know, it comes from our parents, or you know, from something that happened at school or something. But is there? We've been talking about ancestors. You know, is there maybe an ancestral line of knowledge, of belief system that kind of has fed that into us?
Well, see, now you're going to have me get political. I could say that it could go back to the shamans. It's like that. That's quite, you know, that's quite possible. But I think most of it, from all of the research I've done, has come through religion mostly. And in those days, the religious people were the wealthiest people, and in order to hold on to all the wealth, so now we're talking about like a global elite system, right? That if we want to hold on to all of the wealth, then we need to make the masses think that money is the root of all evil, so they don't pursue it, and then we can have all of it. That's where I think that comes from.
So for
and I
all
just
of you that are
up my arms when I said that.
Yeah. For all of you listening right now, I know that we've got a global community tuning in. Do you have, I would love to know from the people that are tuning in, do you have a positive relationship with money, or do you have negative belief systems around money? And if you do, what are some of the beliefs that you have? I would love to know in the comments below. Hello to everyone, Monica, Sharon, Leslyn, Carrie, Margin, Sam, Andre, hello, Tanya, Ollie. I can't say hello to everybody, but thank you so much for tuning in today. I am speaking to Nicola Grace, and she is helping us learn a little bit about cryptocurrency. But what I thought I would start with, because I know that there are so many people with just the incorrect relationship to money, to wealth. And I thought, let's chat a little bit around that, because I know that so many of you listening right now are these wonderful givers and these servers. And some of you get paid brilliantly and you have a wonderful relationship to money, but some of you have a real block against it. And I thought it would be just an interesting discussion to get us in. So I see some positives, some negatives coming in the comments underneath. So we've got a little bit of a balance, which is great. But if there is any comment or a specific belief, please do pop it in the comments below. So how did you find your way? Because you are a business coach, but you're also a spiritual, can I say healer, facilitator of change?
I don't use that. I would say more a transformation facilitator rather than a healer. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it goes beyond the body, and it goes way beyond the emotions as well. For me, and I started out studying history to become a historian and a history teacher because I love history, and then I just kind of didn't feel like I fitted into the system. So I then pursued my passion of dance. And at that same time, my mum was getting into Zen Buddhism. So there were all of these spiritual books on our table, you know, Ken Keith's Handbook to Higher Consciousness, the Bhagavad Gita, a book on Zen Buddhism, and I would devour those. So I had these themes running parallel in my life. But really where the business and the spirituality came in was when a girlfriend of mine said, hey, if you want to make a lot of money to do a course that I had wanted to do, why don't you read tarot cards, because you're highly psychic and you tend to be able to predict things really well. So why don't you do my tarot card reading course and then go do that? So I did that, and I went to Paddy's Market in Sydney, because I was living in Sydney at the time. And I started reading cards. And I had a man come from Taiwan who did a reading for me, and it was 60 Australian dollars. And he loved it so much, excuse me, he came back a couple of weeks later. And so I had this habit of this businessman coming to me to help him with business decisions. And I was being very accurate. Then a month later, he comes back with 4 of his colleagues, and they all want a business reading with me. And I said to them, "Oh, wow, are you all in town for business?" And he said, "No, we all flew here just to have a reading with you."
Wow.
This was before the internet, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just going, my price just went up. If somebody is prepared to get on a plane and fly from Taiwan to Sydney to have a reading for me, the price of my reading should at least be the price of a plane ticket.
Yeah.
Right? So I realized I had a gift. And I mean, I had been surrounded by business before. Before that moment, I had my own business. So I've been quite entrepreneurial in my life. But that was really where it all just started coming together: the spirituality, the intuition, the psychicness, and the business acumen. And so from that moment forward, that my life was set to end up being the mission mentor at some stage.
And it's amazing because you've helped so many people through this work. And I think that that's also, you said that your price went up the moment you realized that if somebody was willing to pay that to fly to come be with you, that you should definitely at least be charging the price of a plane ticket.
Exactly.
But for those people out there who don't know what to charge, how, like, as a business coach, I'm sure you've guided so many people through that process. We get paid what we believe we almost deserve. What is the belief system around that, and how do we demystify that? Like, you had an experience, do you know what I mean, that kind of went, aha, listen, Nicola, you're worth at least a plane ticket. And that for a lot of people, I know that one of the sayings, the beliefs that has come through is the rich get richer, and you need money to get money. So the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and you need money to get money. That's one of the comments that has come through. Another one,
and that is actually true. But I mean, that's actually a truism. The rich do get richer and the poor do get poorer. But you don't have to. If you don't have money, you don't have to be poor. You can be rich and not have money. Yes. That's coming back to the vibration thing, right? Yeah. And like segueing over into cryptocurrency, because I'm seeing the time flying by.
Yes.
The cryptocurrency is the greatest wealth transfer that's happening in the world right now. It's like institutions, banks, governments, right? Chinese government is the biggest buyer of Bitcoin right now. US government is not far behind them. So there's this massive wealth transfer into cryptocurrency. And because that's digital and it's not ethereal, coming back to that relationship with what you charge, there needs to be some kind of, I think, an internal process, a spiritual process, as well as working with a mentor, looking at the market and doing the research to find out where you're at vibrationally and what results you get for people. Because I know a lot of people overcharge and they don't get results, and a lot of people get results and they undercharge. So I think it's a complex of bringing all of that together. And with cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency is a frequency, it's a vibration, and because it's an idea, it's not a tangible thing that you can touch, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the opportunity that we have to match our vibration with that new level of wealth that cryptocurrency is offering everybody, to make it a lot easier to charge what you really, what you're really worth. But also, more importantly, to feel that you already have that wealth within you anyway, because the rich do get richer. So if you feel rich, it doesn't matter how much money you have, how many assets you have, you feel rich. I feel rich because I'm in the mountains. I've got the ocean is right there. I've got this beautiful rainforest around me. So I can feel rich just by tuning into the abundance of nature. right? And everybody should be doing that, I think, anyway. And that vibration then starts to attract, other opportunities for you to add to that in terms of tangible opportunities for assets.
So on that note, because I think that that's such an important thing, understanding cryptocurrency. Hi.
Yep.
In the background. Understanding cryptocurrency.
Hang on a second.
No problem. Okay. So for those who have hi, Tyrone. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Tyrone is saying, Depo is watching the upload of the super interesting content. Thank you, Susanna. Absolutely a pleasure. I aim to bring you guys interesting content that can empower you. And I've got the lovely Nicola Grace here, and we're chatting about money, relationship with wealth from human beings, but also specifically cryptocurrency. It's a new currency, and maybe that's where we should begin, because you started going into that. What is cryptocurrency? Because some people have heard these words kind of floating around, but they don't actually know what cryptocurrency is.
Yeah, without getting into the whole technology of it, which is actually above my pay grade, cryptocurrency is the name for something that is now an asset, a legal and legitimate asset in most countries. It's like, let's call it a digital file. It's a digital file that has value because of the project that's behind it and the trading that goes with it, like a stock market. It's like people are buying and selling it and they're pushing the price up or driving it down, similar to the stock market, although it's a lot more complex than that. So let's just call it a digital file that passes through blockchains and does all of these amazing things and then becomes a value.
Okay. So one of the things I remember when I started learning about Bitcoin, it was 2016. I think, when did Bitcoin first come out?
2008, I think it was. 2009, it went public.
Okay, yeah. So 2016, I think that's when I bought my Bitcoin. And for all of you listening, I had a rough start. So I'm just letting you guys know, I bought my Bitcoin. At that stage, there was Bitcoin. I didn't really know of any other cryptocurrencies that were kind of making any news or headway or anything like that. Bitcoin was the thing. I invested some money in it and I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to leave it there and just see what happens over the next 2 years. Of course, it went up and went up and went up. And then just before it crashed, I got this feeling, Susanna, take your Bitcoin out. And I bumped into a gentleman in a doctor's office. Literally, I had flu. I was in the doctor's office. I had a chest infection. And he said, hold off for like 2-3 days. And he said, and then take it out. Well, in those 3 days, somehow I got hacked. And they literally, it was near R1 million in South African terms. That is a very decent amount of money to have grown from the money that I had. And it was gone. Literally, guys, all gone. And I remember I bumped into him like somewhere random. And I said, dude, I listened to you and I lost all of that money. And since then, I've been very tentative about it. But Leisha Jarrett is not only my spiritual coach, but she's also a very dear friend to me. And she's been saying to me, Susanna, you want to create wealth. This is one of the ways that you can really be doing it. And I've had, just so that you guys know, multiple barriers popping up, like just battling to sign on, battling to get my wallet, battling this. In fact, Nicola finally dived in last week and she said, I'm going to sign you up. I'm going to actually do it for you while we are online, which I'm very grateful for, Nicola. And I finally gotten signed up and I'm delving into this world and I want to learn more. So I don't know how many of you, I'd love to know from the people who are watching right now, do you own any Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency? Just say yes or no in the comments below.
Well, that would be good to know. Yeah.
And also, if you've got a question, please type it in the comments below as well. But what is the reality about investing in cryptocurrency at the moment? Because some people are scared, like I was before delving in here.
Yeah.
What is really the situation? What
Yeah.
should people know?
There's a couple of things. I mean, fear basically means you're not educated. You don't know
Yeah.
enough. That's what fear is, right? Because when you know enough, when you know the patterns, when you know the trends, when you're getting educated, when you're following experts and they're showing you how the market's going up and down, which is easier today than it's ever been before because of YouTubers, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you know all of that, you can make better decisions, educated decisions. And so the risk isn't as great as doing it without being educated.
Yeah.
Right. And then, and number two, you know, one of the biggest rules in investing is never listen to somebody else's voice at the expense of your own intuition.
Yeah.
And you've learned that the hard way. I've learned that the hard way as well. I've lost money by having somebody else be an authority. You know, like especially a doctor, because what does a doctor know about cryptocurrency? So don't listen to experts that aren't really experts. Like, you've got to listen to the right people and get educated. I think one of the most important things to understand about cryptocurrency is that every single time we have had an age shift in our history, we've added a component to our economy, and it's always stayed. It's never gone anywhere. So we went from the natural age to agriculture. So we went land, labor. We went to the industrial age. So we went land, labor, capital, which then spewed out a whole lot of other ways of making money, like the stock market and derivatives and futures and a unit trust and all that kind of thing. So then when we went into the information age, we added information processing and information, and that led to the dot-com boom. So that added to our economy. Now we're going into a digital age. It makes sense we're going to have a digital component to our economy. And that, I believe, is cryptocurrency. Because people say, oh, it's a fad, you know, like the little old white men at the top, right? Just don't get cryptocurrency, say, oh, it's going to be gone tomorrow. And that was when Bitcoin was like $5. It's now, you know, hovering around $20,000. It's set to go to $280,000 at the end of the year, maybe $1 million in 5 years, maybe, you know, $5 million to $10 million in 10 years time. Who knows? But, you know, like, and meanwhile, it's like, oh no, it's going to go away. And instead of going away, it's going up, right?
Yeah.
And then now there's all these other alternate coins or altcoins, which are alternatives to Bitcoin, which Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency, obviously. So it's here to stay. It's being added to our economy. And we know this because the S&P 500 are now adding a cryptocurrency index. So instead of just having an index for industrials and resources and technology, and then the top 500 companies, top 10 companies, an index is now going in for cryptocurrencies. So we're in mainstream now. We're in the mainstream investment bubble, if you will. So it's here to stay, and it's where wealth is going. And shout out to women in particular, because there are now 18 billionaires in the cryptocurrency space, and not one of them is a woman. In fact, I don't know yet if there is even...
I thought you were going to say there were loads of them.
No, they're all men, because men are early adopters and women, generally speaking, are more conservative with their investments. Huge generalization, but it, you know, like there's no women billionaires in the cryptocurrency space. So I think
I want to change that.
But me too, absolutely, which is why we have our investment group. So all of my mentors right now, guys, are nerdy, millennial young men. All of them, like very few of them are over the age of 35, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's really difficult to listen to them because they've got that whole, you know, that whole game on that those kind of young men have. But the information is incredible. These guys are onto it more so than my generation of men or women. So you listen to the right people, you know.
Yeah. So you were talking about your wealth group. Yeah. How is that? What have you created, first of all? And what is the safety in creating something like that?
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting question. So the wealth group that I've got is a whole lot of investors that are invested into a trading pool. And I know that you're going to put a form down below for people to learn more about that with you, right? And we decided, it started out with three of us. We decided, two of us rather, we decided, let's get together, help each other learn about this new asset class, watch it so that, you know, neither one of us is having to put in a whole lot of hours. We share the hours of research, we swap information. And then other people joined us, and then they wanted their friends to join us, and they wanted their friends to join us. And now we've got 198 people in the group. And it's all about learning about crypto, monitoring the investment we have in the trading pool, as well as what to do with all of the money that you're earning so that you can keep building wealth and you can keep reinvesting it. So it's a kind of like a joint peer-to-peer education group rather than a leader who's giving all the information because they know everything. It's a circular education group, which is kind of like the new dynamic of how, you know, of how education will probably go in the future.
Yeah. And so I think for me, because I know somebody said, you know, Sharon, you're saying the choices are overwhelming, would need direction. So that was my thing, was that, you know, when I started with Bitcoin, it was the currency and there was only so much to kind of learn. Then I had that situation that happened to me and I kind of retracted completely because I was just like, that was a bad situation to experience. And then the only reason why I've kind of gone into it again now is, to be honest with all of you, is because I feel like there's a little support system around me. And so when I don't understand something or I don't know where to go, I can kind of go, excuse me, please can somebody help me, because I don't actually understand this, and it's too overwhelming for me, which is what I did with Nicola. You know, last week I was like, Nicola, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm so doof, and like there's this getting in the way and that getting in the way, and I'm just like not managing, please help me. And there was somebody to actually reach out to. So for me, that was why I kind of joined your group. Another thing that has come up here is the fear of somebody hacking. I know that there are far better systems in place now than there were when this happened to me. Can we where's your knowledge around hacking, just to appease some of the
it's like fear, like hacking can happen in anything, right? And if you live in fear and you don't do anything because you're afraid that something might happen that hasn't actually happened, then you will never get wealthy, right? Because your money can be stolen from the bank by the bankers. It doesn't even need to get hacked. So, right? So the concept of money in the bank being safe isn't just not a true thought. So I wouldn't be too afraid of hacking. That safety, as I always say to people, is in moving. It's not in keeping and storing somewhere. It's like it's in moving it. Like if you keep moving your money around or your cryptocurrency around to keep growing it and investing in it and reinvesting and so on, and you're moving it across several platforms, you don't have all your eggs in one basket, you mitigate the risk. And that's what you do with the whole concept of hacking. It's like, well, there's whole new systems in place right now where, you know, where the hacking that has been happening in the past, it's more and more difficult to do. And I know this for a fact now because we're in the process of hiring people and interviewing them to get some Bitcoin back that went missing. And it's not that easy, right?
I know. I hired 6 different people to try and figure out where it went, and it was gone.
And it was So and like sometimes those kind of things happen because of karma. So this is why I think, you know, we do personal development in our group alongside the education, because if you get hacked and something happens, that's 100% karma on your timeline. So if you want to know, you know, what kind of karma you've got, or you don't want that to happen to you, then you need to be on your path of personal development, digging down into that subconscious mind, cleaning it up and making sure there's nothing but the best expectations in there. Because that's a vibration thing.
So that's actually, I was going to say, that's the second reason why I joined this group, is because I've got an okay relationship with money, but it's definitely not where I would like it to be. you know, and I think that it is karmic stuff. And in fact, I've worked with Leisha, and she's like, yes, there's definitely karmic stuff, and there's definitely also ancestral stuff that I've inherited and inherited and inherited that needs to, you know, be worked on. And something I love about the group is that there are facilitated healings around, you know, our money relationship. So I know that some of you actually said, yes, that's me, when I asked the question, do you have a challenging relationship around wealth, around money, around finances? And the reality is that some of us do, and a lot of us do. And so that's the other reason why I joined the group. So for those of you that do want to learn more, I have put up a little in the chat. You can just go to comments. There is a little sign up form. You can click on that if you guys want to join me in just learning more, because I'm on this road. And as you guys know, I'm an eternal student. And so I'm just learning as I go along. And if you want to learn with me and grow with me, then there is a link now in the comments on the Facebook page. Wendy will pop it onto the Instagram as well. So just look out for that. And I will put it in the description as well. But I know we're coming close to the end of our time, Nicola, and I just wanted to ask you, what has learning about cryptocurrency and this type of world, what has it done for you on a financial freedom perspective? Like, how has it changed your financial situation?
Yeah, I would say there's two ways that it's changed. It's like there's advancement on some really big dreams that I have that I was really struggling to finance. So that's that. There's a level of security that I have now that I've got for my future. And also, I think there's also an honesty in my business that I don't think I had before. And it's not saying that I was dishonest, but now that I don't have to work for money because my money is working for me, i.e. my cryptocurrency is working for me, that means that the time I give people, I value more, right? Whereas before I wasn't being honest with my value, and I was just working in my business and helping people and doing what I needed to do and taking a few things on the chin and doing things and taking on clients that I should never have taken on board because it was all part of the business system. But now that money isn't an issue for me now, it's more honest in terms of, well, I want to work with you because I love your vision and I love you, and I feel like I can really work with you. So the core of my working relationships now, I feel, are more honest, and they're more inspiring.
I love that. I love that so much, because I think that so many people are in that position where they're having to work to survive. And even guys, and I say this humbly, spiritual people who are doing work, but they sometimes are just drained and they're needing to do it because otherwise they can't survive. Imagine transforming that situation into a place where your money is already accumulating. And so the money you are bringing in from your work, if you need a day off, you have that ability to take that day off and really rest and fill your own cup up so that you are of true service to others. And
exactly.
I think that that's so important, because I think that so many people that are in service, that their work is in service, whatever it is, guys, I'm not talking about just healers or whatever it is. I'm saying anybody that is in service. So many people forget to fill their own cup up. So imagine having that situation. For me, that's a beautiful thought. That situation of having money working for you, so that when you are working, you are just completely present and full, and not working for working. I wonder how many people that, yes, exactly, I'm getting comments coming up. So that's great that that's resonating with people. We are finishing off. Is there anything that you think is important for us to leave people with?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody heard the noise while you were talking, and it sounded like a whole lot of coins just dropping and going ching like that. So that was the sound of $1,000 worth of cryptocurrency landing in my wallet. And it's just like a really cool feeling. So overcome the fear. It's like, you know, like there's this thing, saying that goes, what is it? If you don't take risks, you'll never get rich.
If you don't take risks, you'll never get rich. And
you
it's
have
all,
to take risks.
you have to take risks.
Which means you have to manage fear. And it doesn't mean to say that you go and you be a maverick and you just go and do things in an uneducated way. It means that to bridge that gap between the fear that you have of taking action and the action you know would be really good for you is education and information and support and mentorship and coaching. Right? That's how that gap gets bridged. So it's not like that you stay in fear. It's you just go, wow, I'm acknowledging this fear and now I'm moving in this direction.
I love that so much. Nelson Mandela said, actually, it's always scary until you begin, you know, and that's the truth. And even guys, when you begin right in the beginning, still a bit scary. And along the way, it can get scary. But if you've got the right support system, I think that's the important thing. For me, that is one of the most essential things, whether you are starting a new business and you've got an entrepreneur's coach or an entrepreneur's community that you can reach out to, whether you're looking into something like this, learning about cryptocurrency, you know, to have the right support system, actual humans that you can reach out to, that you trust, that can create that support system. For me, that's the essential. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Please give me a thumbs up in the comments below. Please like and share this post with all of your friends. Tag your friends, distant cousins and relatives. We want to obviously empower as many people as possible. For all of you who have commented beautifully, and I haven't managed to read all of your gorgeous comments on Instagram. I don't know why, it's a crazy setting on Instagram, but the moment we end our live, your comments will be lost to me and I won't be able to read them. So please go into my news feed and rewrite your comments out. Just let me know exactly what you said. I would love to also know what your biggest takeaway was. Did you have an aha moment like I did in this session? Because I think that that is so important to just write down and share, because it could be somebody else's aha moment when they read yours. Very interesting. Thank you both. Sorry?
Have we got time for your aha? What was your aha moment?
Well, just that I love that story of the ancestors, and I'm sure that I was probably, you know, one of them. You know, one of these. I'm sure, like I've strange, like kind of knowings, I suppose. I don't know how else to put it, but where like I was burnt at a stake at some point, you know, for being a witch, and that I've always had this very deep spiritual connection, and you know, so I've done this work, I think, through lifetimes. And so when you said that, although I'd never known that story before, it completely sunk in and was like, yes, that makes complete sense, that I would be sitting, you know, really connecting, meditating, sending out the right vibrations and being looked after by the community. And so then that belief of work versus doing what is from my part, because I don't actually see the work that I do as work. I see it as like just my purpose, you know, that I'm living in purpose. But the reality is that there are things around that purpose that need to get done in order for a business to actually work. So that for me was a big aha moment. I don't know if anybody else also had an aha moment there, but it's a really good thing to kind of shift and change. I would love you guys to join me. Wendy, I know you are online. Please won't you post that link again in the chat for everybody that is watching on Instagram, and also everybody that is watching on Facebook. I know some of you joined late. Please just rewatch the session again, and we would love you to join our group of just supportive individuals who are working out this amazing cryptocurrency phenomenon and creating wealth in a different way. I think it's so important. We have moved to a different time energetically on this planet as well. And so there's different opportunities that are cropping up at the moment. And so if you'd like to join me on my learning journey, I am just a little newbie at this, but I am learning, then please do join us. And thank you, Nicola Grace, for joining me today and making this opportunity available to the Thrive Network. I really, really appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you